I don't know.
Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Roll call. Looks like everybody showed up tonight, so we're golden there. I guess we're about ready to any public comment about closed session items? No. Okay, let's adjourn to this meeting to order at 7 after 6. Or 7, yeah. Okay, roll call. All 7 members are here. Would you rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, in closed session items, Mr. Nava motioned, Dr. Ball second, and the board approved the appointment of, I'm never going to get this right, Vikashini Dial as director. With the name of, with the name of Connexted, for my entire teaching career, I answered all kinds of things, so I figured I'm due. Anyway, we are for him as a director 3 budgets effective 24-25 school year by the vote of 7 yes, 0 no. Mrs. Alexander, Mr. Stroh, Mrs. Alexander motion, Mr. Stroh second, and the board approved the appointment of David Vujovic, I'm sure that's right, as principal alternative program of the alternative program, location to be determined, effective 24-25 school year by the vote of 7 yes and 0 no. Mr. Stroh motion and Mr. Nava second, and the board approved the appointment of Brianna Carroll as elementary principal, location to be determined, effective for the 24-25 school year by a vote of 7 yes and 0 no. And the conference with legal counsel for claim number 639188. Mr. Porter motion and Mrs. McFarland second, and the board rejected that claim 639188 by a vote of 7 yes and actually 7 no's, right? And yeah, rejected.
7 yeses.
Yeah, yes, 7 yeses and 0 no's. Okay. At this time, I would like to have a special announcement. The regular board meeting that was originally scheduled for June 25th has been canceled. However, a special board meeting will take place on June 25th as a closed session meeting for the purpose of superintendent's evaluation. The regular board meeting scheduled for August 20th at Bear Creek High School will be moved to the district office. Okay. At this point, I'm going to declare the California School Employees Association CSEA reopeners for 24-25 year be opened. Is there any board comments about that? Public comments? Okay, then I'll declare that public hearing closed. Comments from employee groups. Each employee group, group representative shall limit their comments to 5. So do we have it? Okay.
Hi, Ann Suela Garcia. I'm speaking for Leah. Thank you. Hold your applause till the end. Ann Suela Garcia, QB3 Leah. So at the last board meeting, I spoke about frustration Leah members were having with the district officials not sticking to their payment timeline. A week ago, Dr. Dosti informed our union president, Lisa, that one-time money due to Leah members from the TA will be paid on June 21st, a separate check from our pay, and the retro check would come on July 10th. The associated members appreciate the efforts of CSCA members that work in payroll to make this happen in a timely manner. We know the task is not easy, and we know your department is short-staffed, and we know the extra effort payroll personnel are undertaking to make this happen, and we thank you very much for this. Leah members also appreciate the members of the board who responded to our messages and supported our message. And also thank you to Dr. Alan Dosti and the other district representatives who worked to bring this compromise to fruition. Stop. At the last board meeting, community members and Leah members brought concerns about the newly formed and active book review committee to the board. The committee was addressed in public comment by the public, but not reported on during the superintendent's report, even though it was under his purview. Finally, during board members' comments, many questions were asked and concerns were addressed. Following that meeting, it appears that there were more conversations had, and 6 days later, Mr. Young sent out a communication that stated that the book review committee did not have the authority to make any determination based on the board rule 1312.2. The communication also covered a new procedure to be set in place to allow individual parents to make decisions about what their own children read and not what other people read. I believe that procedure is what librarians have been asking for a long time. Another point the communication from Mr. Young made was that trust had eroded due to the lack of transparency. LEA members hope the district representatives learn that transparency is always the way to build trust. A continuing concern that LEA members have is the status of special education. LEA members are being contacted over their summer break to edit and update IEPs. These teachers are on their vacation and they have worked their 185 days and should not be asked to work for free. This example of people being asked to work for free may be one reason why we have, as of last week, 55 open SPED positions. I have spoken to number 54 and number 55, and both are leaving for more reasons than money. Kids need to be, first, clear and honest communication from their office and appropriate support. There were more reasons. The last one was money. And when they resigned, no one asked them why they were leaving. One of them also told me she was writing 4 letters of recommendation for other teachers to leave. Here are some questions that we have regarding special education from parents and staff. Questions to find answers to. Why are there 55 or more open positions? Why are people not accepting positions in Lodi USD or leaving for other districts? What SPED areas have the greatest needs? What is the SPED department doing to meet those needs? What about staff beyond teachers that also work with our needs, kids with special needs? Paras, school psychologists, speaking language pathologists, counselors, etc. Do we have those people? Is the district actively working to attract and retain education specialists? I would think it would be one of those things that would keep me up at night. I would want to know why teachers are leaving and what they need to stay. Perhaps the district should hire an outside agency to interview our teachers and find what the teachers need to support the thousands of students with special needs. It is obvious that the communication from the classroom to the JAESC is not meeting the great needs of our students. LEA will continue to do our job supporting our members and, more importantly, our students as we work for access, equity, and inclusion for all.
Any other employee group comments? CSEA? No? All right. Okay, at this time, then we'll move on to comments from the public. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items that are not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit their comments to 3 minutes, please. The board cannot engage in dialogue without about public comment because of restrictions placed by the California Brown Act. And when you come up, please give us your first and last name before starting for the minutes. And I can tell you that I have a whole slug of comments that all of you will not get to speak because we want to stop this at 20 minutes. We are aware that there's a hot topic issue. Please email the board if you would like to make a comment that you didn't get a chance to speak. Okay? All right, so looks like the first one up is Kelly Hansen.
You can clap anytime you'd like to. I'm a 6th grade teacher, Kelly Hanston. I live in Lodi. I teach in North Stockton. And I want to thank Superintendent Neal for, Superintendent Young, I've known him too long, for giving me a copy, which I have not totally perused yet, of what's causing a lot of this, oh, you did, what? We okay, Gary?
Yeah.
Okay. I've known him a long time too. And anyway, I think if we all sit down and look at this, we can handle this in a way that we can get through this period. People were very upset because it seemed like the board had, somehow the review committee had been selected with a slant. was how a lot of us were perceiving it. And I'd really like to have us go back about 30 years in history where people could talk about things and come to nice conclusion about things. I'm not going to speak any more about that now. I know there's going to be a lot of vehemence and a lot of intensity, but I think this is something that we can all come to a rational conclusion about. And I like the idea of the parents being able to select what their child can be exposed to and what they can't be. The second thing I'd like to talk about is our attorney, the health guy, talking about cell phones. Now, every parent that's out there that's given your child a cell phone, I wish you would just take it away. I can't tell you how many kids are getting screwed up with their cell phones. I teach 6th grade for 35 years. And what they see and do on the cell phones is way worse than anything they can read in any library book. And how they're attacking each other and just destroying each other's self-esteem. I talked a little bit with Neil, and hopefully we can talk a little more this meeting. But I was thinking, I'm going to just have my kids put their phone in an envelope and take it from them the whole day, give it to them at the end of the day, because there were so many problems last year with the phones, and they're only 6th graders. I can't imagine what high school teachers are dealing with. But let's try and be civil with each other, be respectful, and come to a good working relationship with all that we're going to be discussing tonight. Thank you.
Jen Castle?
Hi, sorry. Hello, trustees. My name is Jen Castle, and I spoke here 2 weeks ago asking for clarity regarding what sure seems to be shaping up into book banning in Lodi Unified. I worked for Lodi Unified as an AP literature teacher for 25 years. I have a master's degree in English literature and a PhD in educational leadership. I am a national board certified teacher in English. I'm a professor of English at Delta College and the director of dual enrollment for Yuba College. I have worked as an AP literature reader for College Board. I know high school English curriculum and college curriculum like the back of my hand. The district is at its best when it is serving all of its students, helping kids feel safe to learn and grow. This district is at its best when it incorporates the perspectives of all stakeholders and governs openly with transparency. Secret committees, vague policy language that was never board approved, and strange votes behind closed doors are illegal and disingenuous to the very community who elected you to be here. We don't trust this at all. What are we doing here? Who is driving this bus? I filed a California Public Records Act request on June 5th and heard back from Ms. McPhee on June 6th. She wrote that I would receive information about the formation of the committee, the board policy governing the committee, a list of committee members, the minutes from the meeting, and the voting record from that meeting as well in 10 days. I'm looking forward to receiving that information. It is illegal to govern behind closed doors without agendas, minutes, or voting records. We have districts in Sacramento and Stockton that have been recently tagged with grand jury investigations involving Brown Act violations. I'm surprised at how fast and loose LUSD is still playing with this committee. Where will this end? You need to disband that committee. The people in this community will be voting again in less than 5 months. I've worked for several school board campaigns. I know that people in this community take the safety of our kids seriously. When you pull books off of shelves based on what some people may deem offensive, make no mistake, you are banning books. You are still broadcasting messages rife with homophobia, racism, and bigotry to kids who may have already been the targets of bullies and hate. It's not okay. Inclusivity, transparency of government, and trust. These are areas that deserve your attention now more than ever. Thank you.
Andrea Sangay? Is that close?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Sanji. Unified School District. In 2018, my Girl Scout was creating a proposal for her Gold Award project. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Gold Award project is the highest award a Girl Scout can earn, and a project that finds a problem in the community and seeks to create a permanent and long-lasting solution. She proposed to create a banned books library and a banned books week curriculum for her high school. I thought it was the most ridiculous idea I'd ever heard. No one bans books anymore, yet here we are today. In my town, not in a red state that restricts bodily autonomy for pregnant people and prevents people from voting to ensure a stranglehold on governing. Here, in Lodi, in California, a vocal minority is advocating to prevent every student in LUSD from accessing books this minority finds objectionable. Every student, not just their student, but mine and yours, including students whose parents can't juggle their schedules to race home from Sacramento to be here to advocate for literary access for all students. Under current policy, any family can prevent their student from reading any book in the library. Now these same people want to extend their overreach to my and your students and prevent our students from being able to read books that offend these families' sensibilities. This is completely unacceptable. This ridiculous and blatant favoritism towards a small religious minority is the direct result of the actions or inaction of Superintendent Neil Young. This is not the first time this has come before you. Remember the coffee talks held during the day when folks are at work? Remember the associate superintendent telling libraries he was more interested in restricting books and not students? Remember the librarian's annual book orders being held for review and vetted by a district employee with no formal education in literary selection who was directed to use the hate group Moms for Liberty's Book Looks website to determine if the book should be ordered? Remember librarians being asked to submit copies of challenged books on the last day of school for review by a formal review committee that was meeting just 2 business days later? Board members, you've heard testimony multiple times previously about the hostile environment our teachers, students, and community members face in our school. This book review committee is just one more example of the religious extremists attempting to create publicly funded Christian madrasas on the public dime. The book ban committee is composed of at least 3 members of Superintendent Young's church, including the young adult pastor. Another committee member has a PhD, master's, and bachelor's in religious studies, and her thesis focused on Christianity and Mormonism within specific populations in Utah. There are more than 30 churches in Lodi, but the majority of the community is made up of people who attend the same radical conservative church the superintendent attends. Why is that? Is this how communities should be formed in a diverse school district like Lodi? We saw the superintendent make several disingenuous and untrue statements at the last meeting. Under pressure from this board, he changed his story so many times, I was unclear at the end of the meeting if a vote had been taken by the book banning committee or not. I know you were frustrated as well. I appreciate your efforts to get to the bottom of this particular situation.
Your 3 minutes have surpassed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Forgive me, I'm going to finish her speech.
Still 3 minutes.
Okay. That said, we still haven't heard how these committee members were selected. We know that at least one of the members, by her own admission, has filed the majority of the literary challenges in this district. I'm Lisa Pride, sorry. We know the First Baptist youth pastor with no literary certificates and literary degrees was included in the committee. The sole librarian included in the committee had no voting role, or were they allowed to advise the committee with any information on the literary merits of the books in question. Book Looks, a hate group project, was consulted during the deliberations. In fact, they were told specifically in the committee meeting that they, and I quote, will not be given his opinions today. He is here to answer questions. We know they tried to add a book, A Court of Fire, by Sarah Maas, to the books that were reviewed despite it not having gone through the challenge process. These actions demonstrate clearly that this committee is more interested in removing books than reviewing complaints. We haven't heard under whose authority this committee was convened and how they publicized its formation to ensure a committee that represents all of Lodi Unified. We heard the superintendent disavow any knowledge of the composition, agenda, and outcomes of the book ban committee. We did hear him say that he had the authority to convene the committee, but he has the authority but not the accountability. Really? Where can I find a job like that? As an LUSD parent, I'm tired of playing whack-a-mole with the anti-gay, overly sexualized agenda of the school superintendent and his cronies. I am tired of a school superintendent who's either lying or so incompetent that he's unaware of how the optics of a book ban committee would betray our community. His support of a minority who claims to advocate for parental rights while blatantly disregarding my parental right for my student to receive a robust education, including books that are referenced in AP literature exams, renders him incompetent to lead this school district. Through Superintendent Young's mismanagement of book challenges, we stand here devoting hours and hours of valuable time to combating book bans when we should be focusing on the looming financial challenges ahead.
Does this school district have so much money in reserve that it can afford the inevitable lawsuits from families whose students cannot access books on the AP reading list? Is this really the best use of our valuable resources? Is it the most pressing issue facing our schools and our students? If not, then why are we giving such a loud voice to such a vocal minority who already has the right to prohibit their students from accessing the material? There is only one reason this is happening when so many more important issues need to be addressed. Superintendent Young's mismanagement and lack of support for our teachers, librarians, and students. From banning rainbows to promoting lunchtime Bible study books to being reviewed by this church members, the superintendent has demonstrated that through his actions that he is not capable of credibly leading the education of all of our students with equity and compassion. He is an embarrassment to our schools, our community, and our city. It is time for Superintendent Neil Young to be removed from his role as school superintendent. Some advice for the families who want to remove books from our schools. As my teen told me through her Gold Awards Girl Scout project, if you want teens to read something, tell them they shouldn't. And from mine, I'm just going to say, I wonder if the community would be comfortable if another group of community members were over half of the book review committee, would they quietly accept a decision to remove books by a group of, for argument's sake, atheists or Buddhists, perhaps a committee comprised largely of people of color or the LGBTQIA community. But they do expect the rest of us to accept the decisions of the committee we've discovered is fact. Thank you.
Angela Garcia.
Okay, I get my time.
Okay. Emily Lynn.
Okay. Hi, sorry, this may be like a little bit off topic, but hi, my name is Emily Lynn. I'm an incoming sophomore for Tokyo High School. I'm also the incoming concertmaster for our band. This past year we had a very successful season. Our marching band was undefeated, our drumline and winter guard were very successful, and our orchestra both got superiors. And despite all this, we had a lot of funding issues. So 2 of our clarinets are being held together by tape. One of the bass clarinets has a paper clip holding the register key together. We only have 2 working saxophones for a section of 6, and almost all the percussion equipment needs to be replaced. And maybe even a more concerning issue than that is we might not be able to compete at all, even if we don't get our instruments fixed, because we don't have enough money to even register for the competitions. And all of these problems would be solved by the money from Prop 28, but we're not seeing it because our principal, Mr. Avalos, has been emailed multiple times on the issue regarding delegation of funds. He has not responded to any of the emails from the band boosters or any outside emails on setting up a meeting. He has not replied at all. There's been no word from him, and we need this money immediately, not just for my program to get our instruments fixed. Also the performing arts department at our school needs it, the dance team. There's so many programs that need it that add community to our school, and really all schools, because performing arts is definitely a neglected department, just school-wide, in all districts, everywhere. So I would really appreciate it if you could, I don't know, even just an email would be appreciated to try and get the funds so that we can hopefully at least have a chance to compete at all.
Amber Lynn. So, you're the last speaker, I'm sure.
Hello, I'm Amber Lynn. I'm a parent of 2 students here. Those pushing for the books to be banned stated it was unlikely any of us had actually read these books, and if they just told us what was in them, we would certainly capitulate. Well, I have my daughter reading one. I've read both of them. This shows a belief that those who disagree with them are either ignorant or malicious. They cannot fathom that an educated, moral, and rational person might have a differing opinion. My opinion of the books, though, is irrelevant. That is the whole point. However, I would like to point out that the California Department of Education has both books listed as recommended on the book list for teens. Additionally, the California Department of Education states that districts should anticipate that good literature and nonfiction, which is often based on real-life issues, will draw requests to reconsider the use of the book. In fact, any piece of literature or nonfiction is potentially objectionable to someone for some reason. It also states that the committee for reconsideration should be representative of the community and educated about intellectual freedom issues in advance of any challenges. This means it is not made in response to book challenges, but should have already been established. The 1982 Supreme Court case, Board of Education Island Trees Union Free School District, number 26, versus Pico by Pico, shows that even though the books that were originally banned in this case contained profanities, were sexually explicit, were ungrammatical, were anti-American, were offensive, on and on, the ruling was in favor of the students' First Amendment rights. The majority opinion stated that the First Amendment imposes limitations upon a school board's exercise of its discretion to remove books from high school and junior high school libraries. It recognizes that the board has broad discretion, and in times it must balance that with First Amendment rights. But it goes on to state that in light of the special characteristics of the school library environment, it is especially appropriate for the recognition of students' First Amendment rights in that environment. With these facts in mind, I urge the board to take decisive action and ensure that the district policy reverts to a committee construction process, which involves all stakeholders, requires the committee members to read the material in full, supports our students' First Amendment rights, and that will protect our district from legal action.
Good job, guys. You did it in 20 minutes. Okay, moving on to,
Can we request more time, please?
you can request, but we're not going to do that.
We only
Please,
got one side heard and just one
you
out.
can email any comments to the board.
Point of order? Yeah, I don't think that's fair when you.
It doesn't matter. This is what we're doing.
And we
We have an
did
agenda.
email.
These are our kids.
We are moving on to the agenda.
Board members, we came here for a purpose and we need to be heard. Board?
Would you like to remove?
I think there was 5 speakers against this. You need to hear 5 speakers for it.
Everybody needs to go after their bonds if they don't want to listen.
You already
Go
got
after
served
their
once.
bonds. They're elected officials. Go after their bonds.
What do you
Okay, moving on to public comments on consent agenda A. At this time, the public may address the board on consent agenda A, which is just routine business. Each public speaker shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. So are there any public comments on consent agenda A? Okay. So board, is there any items that you would like to pull from consent agenda A?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve consent agenda A if there's no items pulled.
Okay. Second. Got it. Okay, so we got first and second. We're ready for board vote then. It's okay. Okay, consent agenda A passes 7-0. Moving on to public comments for consent agenda D. At this point, I do have 3 comments on consent agenda D. Bobby Bivens? He's no longer is here? Okay.
And we would, ask that we not use students' specific names, but instead the numbers that are associated with the student's name. Thank you.
Right. Actually, we'd like to have the mother speak first, and then I'll speak, and then Mrs. Washington.
Who is the mother?
Mother's back right here.
Okay.
As long as they're not using the individual student's name, we do not need to clear the room.
Hello, my name is L'Oreal. Oh, okay, so 23-24-10-89. I'm speaking on behalf of my student. My student was got in some stuff at the school, and he was expelled for 5 days, and then he tried to return back to school. They had told him that it would set up online learning for him, and they weren't able to do the online learning. When we came up here in May to speak to the office across the street from over there, they had advised me to go to the school. I went to the school, and they finally set up the online learning for him, but he missed a lot of his classes on the time he's been out. He missed all his classes. Some of the teachers didn't send none of the work. Some of the teachers did some of his finals, but not all of them. But I'm standing up here because my son is not a bad kid. He got in some trouble hanging out with the wrong people at the wrong time. But I hope that you guys make the correct decision to allow him to continue to stay in the school district. He never got in trouble at all. This is his first time. You can look at his school records. He never been in trouble. I kept him out of trouble. And this is very hard because he's a very good student. And when stuff like this happens, I don't know what else to do, but my kid never done anything, so I'm just asking you guys to give him grace and another chance to be able to finish his junior and senior year at Lodi Unified School District.
Thank you. Okay.
This is Mrs. Shirley Washington. She's the educational chair for the Stockton branch NAACP, and you also have a card that she filled out.
Yes, I do. I was about to call her up.
Good evening. I'm here to represent the mother, and you can hear in her voice her hurt and her concern for her son. they are new to the district, for one thing. He's a new student. And you know how kids pick on new students. But it wasn't his fault, in a way, that he got into the problem that happened at the school. So I'm asking you to reconsider the expulsion for him and let us consider some other way that we can solve this problem between the school and the mother and the son, so that he can still be a representative for Lodi Unified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Bobby Bivens. I'm president of the Stockton branch of NAACP, which stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and colored people come in all color. The key here is we have a young man that found himself caught in a situation, and he felt threatened and felt like he was about to be attacked. I don't know how many of you all had fights when you were kids growing up, but in reality, if you think somebody's gonna hit you, the best thing to do is to hit them first. And in terms of how the district looks at it, he's the aggressor, when in fact, he was not the aggressor in this situation. He simply felt threatened, and rather than get hit, he hit. Now, we're not asking you to excuse that or say that that's okay, because I understand how the rules work, and the rules say if you initiate the first punch, then you initiated the fight. But that's not the case here, even though that's the way it appears. We're asking that you reconsider and not expel this young man. He's missed time in school. We would also ask that you afford him the opportunity to make up his classwork that he did not receive through the electronic system, so that he will not have lower his GPA and be able to continue his education after high school. Again, we want you to really consider that this is not a kid that's involved in gangs or in continuous activities that are negative, but this is the first time in his whole school career, and he's in high school, that he's been engaged in any type of activity, and we're looking for success. I'm sure you all are looking for success, and expelling him would not be a beneficial thing towards having a productive citizen for our future. Again, he did not initiate, even though he did throw the first punch. He was intimidated, and there were others that were coming in his way, so he tried to protect himself. So this is really a situation of self-protection rather than an aggressive action. So again, please reconsider the decision that you're looking at, or do not expel him, but let's find another way to address this issue. That we are willing to work with him, and we have a youth component, and we will help him make the right kind of decisions in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. L'Oreal Carter Dennis?
That's me.
Okay. Oh, you went. You want to speak again? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Hey, board, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I kind of have a little problem here. I think we should have heard this before closed session. You have any recommendations, Superintendent Young?
Members of the board, because they were unable to get here prior to 6 o'clock when you called the public comment, that was no longer an option once we went into closed session. Therefore, this was the only other appropriate time for them to speak specifically on consent agenda B. So this would have been the mechanism because they weren't here prior to the closed session.
Thank you.
I have a support. Yeah, I'm kind of with Mr. Knob on this. this is the first time, we've dealt with this issue at this period of time. And I don't know what the situation was, why they couldn't get here at 6, and probably was transportation, whatever, I don't know. Maybe it was information. I'm not comfortable right now myself with this particular case. Is it possible that we can postpone this till our next board meeting so that we can get a little more background information and before we render a decision? Because hearing from these individuals has made me ponder my decision.
That is certainly at the board's purview to do so. The process by which you need to do that, we need to first establish which number in particular we're talking about, since we're not sharing out publicly.
That's just I can't speak for the board.
Right, but if that is the direction you go, I'm gonna need to get the number from Mr. Dawson to make sure that if someone wants to make a motion to pull and table that specific number until our next board meeting in July. You have the number?
2324 1089.
2324.
I'll make a motion.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is that item B2?
The motion is 23241089 to table it.
Okay, until the next board meeting, which is in July. Okay? Then
I have no problem with that.
Is it possible then for the committee to do more background information for the board to be more informed?
Yes, certainly Mr. Dawson can work with the principal and parent, do all those pieces. So he's here and he's hearing all of this, but you would need to vote specifically. I think, do they need to do a?
We have a motion on the floor.
We currently have a motion to pull item B2.
So you're
second that.
to table that?
Mr. Porter has seconded that.
All right.
Okay.
So, board vote then.
And
It
also
would be a voice vote on this?
to confirm or deny the actual classes or finals that were not, maybe a list of the items that the mother spoke of, the finals that weren't taken, if she had a list or something, the classes that weren't covered, the materials, so that we can maybe give him some time to catch up if that were the case.
So a summer
At
school
least-
opportunity too?
Summer school.
Okay.
So,
At this point, we're just deciding if we're gonna put this,
Okay, thank you, Gary.
we have a first and a second to pull item B2.
Yeah, and then that to include, okay, and the rest of
Well,
We'll make a
this
second motion.
And then we.
Joe, hang on, let me talk.
so do they need to do a verbal vote because it's out of, can you? Okay, yes, please do a verbal vote that you are moving to table this specific
B2.
motion. Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Porter?
I'm in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so we're pulling item B2, or tabling it.
Mr. Dawson has all the information he needs to move forward at this point.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the rest of student discipline cases.
Second.
Okay, and board vote then. And that passes 7-0 for items B1, 3, and 4. Right, yeah. Okay, thank you. Other action items. Other action item number 1 is the approval of primary logos for the Joe Cerner Junior Charter School, Dorothy Mann, and Crystal McAuliffe Middle School. Mr. Young.
Yes, Mr. Kirby, I believe, is here or was here. Yes, he is, as is Mrs. Estrada, the principals at McAuliffe and Cerner. If you have any questions, otherwise, these 3 are here for your approval, along with the big D instead of the little d of the ducklings. So that has come back to you.
Okay.
Motion to approve all 3.
Okay. Second? Okay, we need to second that one. All right, here we go. Board vote then. Joe, did you vote? Okay, there we go. Passes 7-0. Other action item number 2, local control and accountability plan. Again, Mr. Young.
This has come to you multiple times, and now it returns finally for the approval. If you do have questions, I know Mrs. Hiras, who worked very hard on this, is here.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Nod was the second on that.
Although we didn't mind your voice.
Probably should have, is there any comments on this before we vote? Public comments?
Just come back and do another one.
Okay. Board vote then. Passes 7-0. Other action item number 3, the local control and accountability plan. Every Student Succeeds Act, also known as SIESSA. Addendum, Mr. Young.
Again, this is back, this is for your approval.
Move we approve.
Second.
Any public comments? Okay. Go board vote. Passes 7-0. Okay, other action item number 4, the 24-25 budget adoption, Mr. Young.
Yes, this always has to follow the LCAP plan, and therefore it's coming to you for approval. Again, this was brought to you last meeting as a report item, but now it's for your approval.
Move we approve.
Public comments?
Move we approve.
Motion approved.
Okay, we got Nava and was first, and who was second?
I
McFarland?
second. I'll second.
McFarland, you got?
Mr.
McFarland
Ford.
was the second.
I beat you out, Jeff.
And board vote, please. Okay, pass 7-0. Other action item number 5 is AP 1200 documents for Lodi Unified School District's employee group confidential group. Any comments, public comments?
It's for your approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, got Porter, Nava. Okay, board vote then. There we go, 7-0, approved.
President,
Okay,
can I say, members of the board, Mr. Young, before you is the improvement to the Lodi Unified School District confidential salary schedule to reflect salary improvement in alignment with the district proposal to other employee groups for the 23-24 school year.
Motion approved.
Second.
any other comments? Okay, vote. And passes 7-0. Moving on to number 7, Lodi Unified Supervisoral Group, reopeners for the 24-25 year. Get Dr. Dotsie.
President, can I say, members of the board, before you are Lodi Unified Supervisory Group declare the reopeners for the 24-25 school year.
Okay, comments? Okay, Dr. Ball motioned. McFarland second. Board vote. Passes 7-0. Item 8, again, Dr. Dotsie, confidential waiver application and approval.
President, I say, members of the board, Superintendent Young, before you is a requirement of the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing that requires approval of the board to employ certificate personnel on credential.
Move we approve, sir.
Okay, is there any comments before we vote? Okay, board vote. Are you getting the first and seconds over there? I got it. Okay, cool. Okay, that passes 7-0.
President, can I say, members of the board, before you is a resolution due to us having a statewide shortage of substitute teachers. This individual, we are asking, this individual is willing to assist the district by providing their services if the district can receive a storage exemption for them to do so.
I have a question.
Go for it.
It's my sister, so is that immediate family? Should I abstain?
Yes.
Yeah, if this were a group and she were part of it, it's not an issue, but because she is the only person named, I think you would be wise to abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, I move we approve this.
Second.
Okay. So Noel first, Farrell second. Any other comments? Board vote. And it passes 6 yes and 1 abstain. Okay, we have, first report is local priority indicator data review for the California School Dashboard. Mr. Young?
Yes, before you this evening is a requirement with the LCAP. Last year, this was brought to you, and it was a lot of information, and the assessment, research, and evaluation coordinator brought that and started walking through it. But this is really for your reading pleasure. This does not need to be reported other than, here you go, here it is for you to read and for the public to see.
Is there any public comments? Any board comments on this? So, get to read that before the next meeting, I guess. Okay. Are there any board advisory committee reports?
Yep.
Yep. No, this, you have a committee report, or you just have a board?
A 2x2. Is that?
Okay, yes it is.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Porter and I met with the city of Lodi and basically went over a few things, and basically it boiled down to communication, and we both feel we need more communication. Both groups feel we need more communication both ways. And some of the issues that came up, I think that the head one was safety, and one of the big problem schools, well, Lodi High, and we talked about what to do, and Lakewood, they actually are building a better drop-off thing. And the city of Lodi is building, I think they said 17 more
Blinking crosswalks.
blinking crosswalks rather than just painted that. And they're scheduled out for the next however long. And one of the big problems with safety is shortage of staff everywhere. And we're all kind of aware of it. There's just not enough SROs to go around, and just traffic cops, policemen, cops, derogatory, but anyway. So they're just short staffed. It's hard to get enough people to the schools because there are a lot of people disrespecting the traffic laws around schools, especially during pickup times. And in the one part around Lodi, around Lakewood Mall, there's a 45-minute or 2-hour period where the grade schools are getting out, the high schools are getting out, and the middle schools are getting out, and it's real traffic. And there's been a couple of kids hit in the past. Also, probably there needs to be more clarity with the use of sports fields. If it's a city field, it goes city gets first choice out of with their teams, then the schools for our agreement, and then the public, and it doesn't always end up that way. And the same thing with the school district sports fields. If the city wants to use them, they come in after the schools, and then the city, and then the public in that order. And there's maybe been some conflict there about people scheduling way out ahead of time. And basically the problem there is, like a lot of the things, is we need more communication. And I think everybody at the meeting was very prone to wanting to have more communication and have meetings more often than once every 2 years, or whatever we tried. Last year they kind of forgot.
Call your meeting.
Yeah.
Just call it.
And so we tried and we finally got one. So anyway, that's kind of what was there. And do you have anything else to add?
Well, we talked about some gang.
Oh yeah, gang thing. A few years ago, and it was pretty sure it was Lodi PD that did it. They gave a really good gang intervention talk to the high schools. And both Courtney and I remember the one at Tokay. Very informative, especially if you didn't grow up in that culture. And it was actually interesting, and City of Lodi did a really good job with it. And we also talked about a few city connecting with Lincoln Tech, trying to open up with more internships and different things, because there's a lot of skilled but not necessarily college type jobs that pay well, working in water resources, linemen, and that sort of thing. So we talked about trying, and all that boiled down to communications, trying to communicate with CT. So that was kind of our thing. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we did. And we all felt it was productive when we talked.
You know, I might add, just you're talking about parking, there's not a school in this district that's not packed twice a day. You know, at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. So, public, please drive carefully out there. There's a lot of little bodies and big bodies that need to be protected from cars. Okay, Superintendent, you have a report for us?
Yeah, a couple items, thank you. Mr. Knaxton, members of the board. First, I know there are some concerns at Lodi High School because there are new cracks that are showing up in the tennis courts. And I know that Edith Holbert has been out looking at that along with the maintenance crew, and it appears that it's related to something with the soil and the work being done right next to it, but we are aware of that, and I know that Mrs. Holbert is working with Mr. Patty, and we are making sure that we are addressing those over the summer, because we also know that when school begins again, girls tennis, CIF tennis begins again as well. So that's one. But we also want to make sure that we are prioritizing our other high schools as well, that we are taking a look at the tennis courts at Bear Creek. I know at one point I was at Pete's Coffee and someone introduced themselves as the tennis coach at Bear Creek, and they wanted to make sure that we were looking out for Bear Creek's tennis courts. And the same would be true for all 4 of our comprehensive high schools. Something else I did want to bring up, and I know Mr. Lammer's not here, but we will look into the situation with Prop 28 and our amazing band at Tokay High School. I do know that I hear periodic updates from the teacher, and the accolades are amazing with that band. So I want to make sure that things are going in the right direction and we're giving them the support they need. Although I do know that early on with Prop 28, one of the great challenges has been that 80% is for staff, 20% is for equipment, and the problem is the waiver process to have that 80% waived took a long CDE long time. So we didn't get that out until we didn't receive the waiver until close to the end of the school year. Hopefully that resolves some of those issues, so we're not using paper clips on clarinets or saxophones. So that's the second one. And the third piece is it's always humbling to sit in this seat and hear from the public from a lot of different sides. I just want to say that, one, the letter I did send out was true and accurate. It is our 100% intention that a parent is the parent of their child. They're not the parent of someone else's children. I know there are a lot of different opinions as it pertains to which books should be in or not in a library. However, that decision was a collective one that included librarians, that included invited teachers from alternative high schools and the comprehensives, the high school principals, I know the area directors were involved, and ultimately the language we have in the data confirmation has been something in the works since April when they first met and had that collective discussion at VRA Independence, that little area right there. So I'm excited for that to come into play when data confirmation opens July 17th. The second piece I would bring everyone to is the fact that under Board Rule 12.2, I just want to say there was never the authority of any committee to make decisions about books being in or out of the library. And in fact, the actual language states the review committee shall review the criteria specified in board policy and applicable state and federal law and shall determine the extent to which the challenge material supports the curriculum, the educational appropriateness of the material, and its suitability for the age level of the students. And then it states, within 30 days of being convened, the review committee shall summarize its findings in a written report. Nowhere there does it say it's a vote on whether or not. It's just their findings from a constituent complaint. And then it says the superintendent or designee shall notify the complainant of the committee's decision. So the mistake was made from the very beginning that when the committee met, there was a belief based on partial information without having read any books that their goal should be to vote on whether or not to keep or remove a book. That should not have been the goal of a review committee. I also want to make it clear that I have heard from a lot of different people with a lot of different opinions about my selection of the committee. And the belief that I made decisions based on my own personal beliefs. That is not true. I did not determine the members of that committee. However, moving forward, if a constituent has a concern, we have a process in place, which is you have a right as a parent to parent your children. And some of those decisions will have implications, because if a student is to take an AP class, that is a college level class with college level credits. And so they have to weigh those pieces in those types of decisions. But in the end, I am crystal clear that I need to do a better job. I articulated that in my letter. My goal was not to make any group of people happy. My ultimate goal is that we follow the rule as it's set up with the intention of having constituents who might have concerns have an independent group who can consider their concerns and give them feedback, but not to make any decisions about whether or not any instructional materials should be removed from either a teacher's supplemental materials or a library book. And so I just want to articulate that in a public board meeting and be crystal clear on that piece. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Well, I'm going to start. How about that? Okay, we're down to board comments. And I did want to mention that I have seen Bear Creek High School and now McNair, and I haven't seen Lodi High School's tennis courts. The other two were awful, and I know that I put in a work order, and hopefully they got resolved. But you cannot play a tennis match on what the photos that I saw. So, yeah, we need to stay on top of that. During the summer is a good time to get it done. And on a personal note, I appreciate the work you do, Mr. Young, for us in general, and especially on this hot topic book deal that we've been dealing with. Hang in there. Appreciate what you're doing. Any other board comments? Mr.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going down. Yeah, Ms. Alexander.
I just wanted to mention very quickly that I've been in touch with Rachel Greenhorn from Elkhorn and about the STEAM camp that's happening Friday, June 28th at 11. There was an earlier day that I missed, and I won't be able to make this one, but I encourage everybody to go. And just wanted to mention to Mr. Young, and somewhere, these are the kind, I would love to have a little presentation or a blurb or pictures or something to share, because I know these kind of things happen all the time. And those are the kinds of things that re-energize everybody about the good and positive things that are going on in our district, and let people know, look at what we do for our kids and our students. So maybe if you could reach out to her or encourage, I think it's a really cool thing that we offer this, so thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes,
Mr. Naughton?
Jerry, I agree with you on the tennis courts. It's very important that we have, this is really a safety issue. And not only the competitive tennis groups use it, mainly I think it's used by a lot of the physical education classes also for teaching. One thing, the San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors has asked me to ask the art teachers in Lodi Unified School District. They are changing their logo, and they need some input from them. I have a couple of cards for you, Chelsea, so you can communicate with them, okay? And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Any other comments?
Couple quick ones. First of all, a couple of different teachers contacted me, some that I knew and a couple, I call them randoms. But it was a shout out to Bear Creek. This is a shout out to Bear Creek's math department. They went up 12% last year. Some of them. And then also a couple other teachers came up to me and I did not know them, and everybody knows I know a ton of them, but they said they were really happy that Neil was the first superintendent they'd ever seen in a classroom. These are longtime teachers. So anyway, I appreciate going out and making yourself visible, because it's not always easy or fun. It's usually kind of fun. Anyway, and also
That is a lot of fun. That's the part I like.
one of them that's not a random is a friend of mine, my daughter's boyfriend's father. He's retiring, and his student won the essay contest for 6th grade here. And he's retiring this year upon this his name, and Neil told the girl he's going to bring some donuts. And he said he had a really great conversation with you, without her, and also he's had a really good year. He's retiring this year, and both of his sons, graduates of Lodi High, one's graduating with a BS in stats from San Luis Obispo, and the other one just got his PhD last week in chemistry from Davis and is going back east to do his postdoc. So anyway, that was one teacher that had a really good year. And you really enjoyed your company at the donut party.
It was fun.
Dr. Wall, you got a comment?
Quick comment, thank you. I'm sorry if my voice doesn't reach over. Lost it for about 3 weeks now. I do want to get back to the musical instrument. I do hold music close to heart. I support a Stockton chorale as well. I think it's important that our children have instruments available to them. We have the funds, we just need to make sure they get to them. I also wanted to congratulate Lodi Unified on the summer program we have with UOP right now. We have 900 kids there registering today at UOP. And a lot of them were familiar faces. My son is there. And he says, I know everybody. So it's one of the nicest things I think we do for our children. It's constructive. These are teenagers who could be running around, you know, ringing doorbells instead.
Oh, yeah.
And they are focusing, doing stuff, and I appreciate that. And one thing that came up today was our special ed. I think we need to seriously address special ed. It is something that we keep on mind, but it kind of goes on the back burner. So our focus needs to really get on special ed. I think this coming year we should take more steps that are more constructive and have better results coming up for us, for the sake of our children and our community.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a teacher that was receiving an award a couple weeks ago, Jen Buck at Tokay High School. She was named STEM Teacher of the Year, and I've worked with her for about 15 years. She's probably one of the best teachers in our district, without a doubt. I know many students look back after going to college and so forth and look upon her as one of their favorite teachers. She's one of those teachers that you don't hear about, doesn't come to board meetings too often, but yet gets it done at the high school level in an unbelievable fashion. And as an old get off my lawn, as I said earlier, guy, I learned a lot of things from her, even though she was a lot younger when she was teaching. She's truly dedicated to what she does, her craft. It's a passion, it's art with her. It just flows. And her students are well received, and she nurtures, and it's incredible what she does in the science classroom. And it was great to see that Hugh Lohr recognized her and then put her up for the award, and then she ultimately won it. So hopefully the board, maybe Mr. Young could put her, we could have her come up and maybe receive something from the board, a little notoriety. These are the teachers that many times go unnoticed, and a little bit of recognition goes a long way with them. They are the ones that truly are making a difference with our kids in the classroom.
And Mr. Porter, I did reach out, and unfortunately, family was the priority, and so she was unable to be at this board meeting, but we will certainly reach back out as we start up the school year and see if we can't recognize her.
And I know Jen, when summer comes, she shuts it down.
Well,
and
she said she had some concerns about one board member. I didn't know which one that was, though.
Her daughter is at Cal, and she has one son at Tokay, and she really, truly is a rock star when teaching science. So if we could do this start school year, that'd be great. Thank you.
Any other comments? I'm looking for a motion.
I move we adjourn, sir.
All right. Everybody agree? Meeting adjourned. No, I don't.